my speakers. Today we have Tanya Morris, we have Kenya Hoover, and we have Marsha Thornton on behalf of the Women's Entrepreneur Opportunity Project Incorporated. I want to thank you for taking time from your very busy schedules to be with WeOp this morning. This afternoon. We usually get workshops in the morning, this afternoon. So I want to first of all begin by thanking everybody for taking the time and responding to all of our requests for speaking. So thank you. So go to the next slide. Wanted to say hello. I'm one of the founders of WeOp. My name is Antoinette Ball, if you don't know who I am. And just to give you a few tidbits about WeOp as an organization, we founded WeOp in 1999. So we've been doing this for 22 years. WeOp focuses on the mission of the economic advancement for women in business. So everything we do and all of our programs focus on how economically we can advance women, especially with the emphasis on women of color, because we know that women of color have different trials and tribulations and things that are going on in their businesses. So everything we do is centered around that. We like to hear from you as well. So if you have any programs or initiatives or concerns, please let us know as an organization. WeOp provides an ongoing calendar of events, activities, and educational forums to bring women together. We're all about, in 2021, 2022, bringing women together. We recently had our Economic Equity Business Forum last month, because every year we do something for Women's Small Business Month, and we also do something for Women's History Month. And then in between, we have workshops and activities and classes. And WeOp as an organization is also involved with coalition building and basically everything that we can do as an organization on the personal level to keep bringing women together, to do all we can to amplify the voices of women and provide them with access to information, opportunities, and to help them make connections so they can thrive in our economy. Also, another tidbit that we provide free workshops, but also WeOp is a membership organization. So anybody on the call or anybody associated with us, we encourage them to join as a member, as a corporate member, or as a personal member, because that, again, supports us as the organization. And here's how you can stay connected to WeOp. We have a monthly newsletter, and you can go to weop.org, subscribe to receive our monthly newsletter. And that way, at the first week of every month, we give you a listing of everything that we're going to do for that particular month. Our workshops, our activities, we make special announcements about grants and resources. So please make sure you all subscribe to stay connected to WeOp. That's my spill. Sticking to it. And I want to say thank you again to all of our speakers, to everybody who's been a part of WeOp. So let me introduce Tanya. Okay, Tanya, who is going to be our moderator, facilitator, I call conversation leader, because we like to say that we're not looking to talk at you, we're looking to talk with you. Tanya Morris, I've been associated with Tanya for a very long time. In fact, I met Tanya early on when Tanya made her transition from the corporate world to being an entrepreneur, and we were having these long, engaging conversations about her transition. In fact, Tanya came in because she made her transition so well. She was doing workshops at WeOp to help other women transition. And that was a really interesting time because Tanya would come in and do a workshop, and the title was Transitioning from Corporate to Being an Entrepreneur. And when I tell you she would fill the room up, Tanya would fill the room because it was so, remember Tanya, it was so much because they was like, okay, you made your transition. And Tanya had this very unique story about how she made her accidental transition from being in a corporate to actually being an entrepreneur. So she shared that story. She was authentic. She was to the point. So Tanya, I want to thank you for sharing that part and sharing it with WeOp. She would come in as a volunteer and just do workshops. So, and that really helped a lot of women along. So thank you. So getting back to Tanya, she's a founder of Simply HR LLC. She's also an HR consultant, and she has a training firm that provides employers with training HR solutions that cultivate a generational inclusive workplace. Tanya has also worked in HR leadership capacity in other industries, including government, construction, retail, information technology, and education. Tanya provides training solutions on engaging and managing multi-generational workforce to be productive. She has partnered with Fortune 500 companies, state, local municipalities, and federal government on developing an inclusive workforce. A little personal things about Tanya. She has a BS in Business Administration from University of South Florida. She's an active member of SHRM, which is, I think, SHRM.
Sure.
She's also a certified trainer with John Maxwell. So I love John Maxwell, Tanya. So she's a certified trainer. And she's also a certified coach with the Coaches Training Institute and certified diversity professional CDP with the National Diversity Council. If you notice, you can visit Tanya's website at simplyhrinc.com. And Tanya, what you may not know about Tanya, she is a national speaker. So she also has, I mean, and you can talk about some of your national speaking engagements, but she also has a website called TanyaMooreSpeaks.com. So I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful moderator, enlightenment coach, Tanya Morris. Yay!
Thank you so much. But one of the things I want to say, ladies, I'm just like you. I'm trying to make it work, right? Thank you so much, Antoinette. Today, I'm excited to be here with you all because I want to learn how we can leverage and scale together. And we have two fantastic women that can give us some information. But like Antoinette said today, we want this to be a conversation. We want you guys to ask questions. We want to spill the tea. You know, oftentimes we don't get all the information. And so once we kind of get information from both Marsha and Kenya, I'm going to come back and give you a little bit more of my story, you know, where you guys are at and how WeOp has helped me really navigate this here, because, you know, COVID has given us some challenges and we want to talk about that. And so today we want this to be a very authentic conversation. We are not here to talk at you. We really want to have a conversation and hear some of your concerns. This is a safe space. I want to say this here. It's a safe space. I'm going to be like Jay-Z. We can't heal what you don't reveal. And so I think that it's important for us to have a place where we can talk as women about some of our challenges and how some of the things that you guys can, you know, walk away. So our goal is to inspire you, to motivate you, but most important, put you in a situation where you can execute. I often say that the fourth quarter is go time. I know we in November, we still got whole December. So I want to encourage you all. So to move forward with that, let's talk about who is coming up next. I want to talk about or introduce Kenya Hover. She's with the Revenue Operation Process and the Process Manager with NCR. And she's going to take us through a process that I believe that can help us take a step back and look at our businesses and apply some of these concepts. I know that Kenya works for NCR as a global entitlement manager. She helps evaluate, select, and design implementation project management tools and global processes for internal. Let me just say this here. Your internal process is very key. I'm telling you right now, I know when I was starting my business as running, my back office and my process and my technology was not on point, and it made it very difficult for me to do business. And I really believe that if we're going to scale and get everything that we have before us, that back office need to be intact. And I'm still challenged with that. But I'm here today to hear from Kenya. So I'm going to turn it over to Kenya. And Kenya, if you want to give them a little bit more about your background, and I'll go to the slides.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for having me here today. I'm actually a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified, working on my black belt. And pretty much what that is I'm here to analyze data and talk about how I can constantly improve my process or your workflow. So just as you said, Tanya, if you don't have some of those fundamental foundations in place, it will become more and more challenging as you start to grow your business or trying to shift and change, as COVID has presented a lot of us in our business how to do business differently. So I started at NCR in sales, and I moved my way into revenue operations, and I've learned how to work through processes and improve them to definitely maximize on business and building your team.
If you on mute, if you got something in the background, can you put yourself on mute? I think I'm hearing some background. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Is that okay, Kenya?
Sure.
Before you start, Kenya, I want to ask a question, because when you started, you said a mouthful, and there may be some women on the call who may not know what a Lean Six Sigma is. So I don't know if you're going to include that, and what you recommend, like we're talking about doing things that can advance our business, would you recommend other women maybe study a little bit about the Lean Six Sigma, like, because like so some people may not know Lean Six Sigma, and is that advantageous to have for your business, or can you just first of how do you get the basic principles, those kind of things? Because that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's Lean
Especially
and
when you
Six
said black belt. When you said black belt, immediately I start thinking about karate,
Sigma.
We're gonna
So
karate chop the business.
there you go. There is actually about 3 or 4 levels. So you have a yellow belt, green belt, and black belt, and then you could be a master belt. So Lean talks about the people function of how do you build a team in order to have a process function. And a team doesn't necessarily mean your employees. Your team can be how you do business with vendors and so forth. Then your Six Sigma is actually the analytical part of the data is telling you a story. And then there is some truth in how do I now optimize on my wins to improve them to make them better. So you want to get rid of waste, right? You want to eliminate things that are not going to give you the return on investment or your return on your employees. So when you talk about a process, this actually started in Motorola in an assembly line. So it's like throwing almost everything at the wall and seeing what sticks and getting rid of the waste. So it is important if you don't have a black belt, have a Six Sigma certification, but if you have connections with someone, or there's plenty of groups you can connect with where they can come in and kind of analyze your data and say, this is where your defects or your waste are, and this is where you can improve to have that continuous growth. So it is important when you look at your business. But some of the strategies I have here are components of Six Sigma that anyone can apply, just trying to make it user-friendly in a streamlined kind of way.
So let me ask a question, and this is good, and I'm glad Antoinette interrupted about the black belt, green belt. I know I'm green. I've done green belt before. Mm-hmm. But as women entrepreneurs, I'm hoping that, and I know you will, show us that you said one keyword is waste. Yes. And I'm sure you're going to talk about time, because that all makes a big difference when you're running your business, whether you have employees or not. So from a small business standpoint, I'm going to go ahead and go through your CARES model, but I am going to ask questions. And if you guys have questions, you can put them in the chat as well about how we can apply, because I know it could be intimidating, green belt, yellow belt, black belt, all these belts into your business when it's just you. How do you, how do you do that? How do you wrap them belts up into you, right? And so let's go to the first one, the 5-step daily process. And when you say 5-step daily process, walk us through that before you go through the different processes.
Sure. So this kind of stems from the Six Sigma has a lot of Japanese base, because it comes from that business philosophy. And there's something in there called a Kaizen. Kai stands for change, Zen is good. So it's almost saying that change is good. It helps you, I guess, give you a pulse, like you're moving, right? Change is not bad. Don't look at change as, I'm doing something wrong. Change is actually good. So when I designed my team that I'm leading today, we had no clue what we were doing. We didn't know how we were going to hit a financial goal that was presented to us. All of us running a business, we have a goal, and you're like, how am I going to hit this goal? So I adopted looking at a Kaizen, which is how do I keep moving? How do I measure my flow? So this CARES process is something that allows me to do on a daily basis, where I'm able to process where I need to focus, what matters most, how am I being agile? Am I always moving in the right direction? This kind of gives me that pulse check, holding me accountable as well as those I'm with, and also help me reduce my waste. So I don't focus on things that aren't going to take me to the next level or keep me moving. So this is how I came up with this process, or how I focus every day. I do it in my personal life, my business. I also am a coach, a life coach as well, an executive coach. I implement this in everything that I do to help me move through my daily process.
Now you said something, and this may be a terminology some of us as business owners may not quite understand. You said agile, and I know that's in the corporate space. And I know that's a buzzword. Okay, can you break that down from a business standpoint? Because we want to make sure we can apply some of this stuff. So when you say agile, if I'm a solopreneur, how does agile in this case daily process work for me? And I know you're going to go through the different ones.
And
Sure.
that's AGILE, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
agile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we put that in the chat. Agile. That's a term I guess we need to all be familiar with anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it as being able to shift, right? Let's take, for instance, the pandemic. How you do business has changed, right? All of us have had something that we have to change. So I need to make sure that my process or my back office or my infrastructure is mm, uh, fluid enough or it has enough flexibility, it's not rigid, where I can shift and move. So if you look at your business and we like say these blinders, it's like a peephole one way. And then let's say something has to change, the lights go out or it gets brighter. If I'm not able to remove my blinders and move my business or grow my business, then I'm not being agile. So agile is about being flexible and being able to shift, whether it's my consumers change, my niche may change. I
Okay.
have to be able to have enough structure, foundation where I can move
Okay.
and grow. So
So
that's
it's
how,
changing and pivoting, right? It's
yes,
changing and pivoting. So many of us had to do that since 2020. So, okay, now we can follow you. Now we got you. So now that we need to shift from an agile standpoint and apply these daily processes in place, let's walk through your CARES model and talk to us about the first one.
sure. So the C is where you want to collect and compile some your information. So if I am a solopreneur and I'm in sales or marketing, I want to
Yeah.
be able to bring all of my data in one visible place. This is very important. I know a lot of us may like spreadsheets, or a lot of us may like to have a little pen and paper with notes on here, but you want to be able to bring your information in a central place so I can visually see it. Whether it's dashboards, whether it's something that I build and create or using CRMs such as Salesforce, Monday, HubSpot, whatever it is, invest in that so that I can get my information in one place for me to visualize because I want to be able to get to it fast and be able to look at it very quickly. I don't want to pull 5 or 10 different spreadsheets and try to run macros and bring them together. That's wasting time. So once I collect my data and bring it together, I have to be able to visually see, am I hitting my goals? Am I on track? I have to be able to visually see that. So the compile is important to making sure that I can bring my information in one central place visually. So then I can move on to how do I assess and analyze what I'm looking at.
So is this compile and collect is to look at sales revenue or sales? Let's look at how the business is doing.
Yeah, what if it's my sales? Let's think about what my goal is. I want to, everybody sets goals for themselves. We have our New Year's resolution, whatever it may be, right? If I say I want to be able to grow my business by 20%, or if I want to change my niche into a different market space, I want to build more vendor relationships, whatever my goal is, I want to be able to visualize where I am each day. I want to be able to know where I am on track. Just like, Tanya, when we spoke earlier, you said, I check my bank account every day, right? So you want to know your spending, you want to know your money. That's the collecting part. I want to know what I'm doing each day. I want to know how I'm starting my day, where am I moving? So that's what this collect process is. And this shouldn't be long. This should be, if I have it in central place, I'm able to pull it up, look at it, and say, this is where I am.
Okay, carry on. We
Yeah.
got it.
So, once you start to get everything visual, this is where I say this is the fun part because now I'm going to assess and analyze what I'm looking at. So I put things in buckets. So it's real simple. Let's put it in 2 simple buckets. Let's not make it too complicated. What works are my wins and my opportunities. So I'm now able to say the things that I know I did yesterday really well and they're keeping me on track, they go on my win. The things that kind of like, I'm not quite sure about, I'm still kind of, feeling it out, I put those in my opportunities. Therefore, I'm really quick with saying these work, this is good, I'm in the right direction. These other things are questionable. So now that'll allow me to move to the R, right? You want me to keep going, Tanya?
Yeah,
Any-
I want to go back to, I like to just break it down so we all can understand, because we really want to be able to not to just hear it, but to apply it. So we know to compile and collect, like I said, I look at my money every day. I'm one of these people, when the money resides, I need to know where it's at, right? So I
Right.
look at my bank account every day. And so the access piece is meaning that there's two buckets. I'm just recapping. There's a
Yeah.
win bucket and there's a bucket for opportunities, right?
Right.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Can I want to ask something because I wasn't with the C and the A, and I know that one of the challenges that some of the women have is integrating that technology into their businesses. So
Mhm.
it's rather be CRM or whatever, because actually if on the front end, you have some kind of technology, and it may be that to bring it to life, you could suggest, say, maybe they do Monday, or maybe they do another platform that kind of keeps them, that they utilize technology to, so they can quickly see that go from the
Yes.
C to the A. Maybe overall you can just recommend something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like give us an example of like a platform that they could use to quickly assess this, to quickly go from C to A.
So if you are a small business, I certainly think Monday is a great investment. If not,
Okay.
Google G Suite, they
Yeah.
have a lot of all of this already built in. So if you have a Gmail, it doesn't cost that much. I think Google G Suite packages are very user friendly, and they do integrate with other platforms like Salesforce if you grow and you get that robust, as well as Monday and HubSpot. They're a little bit more robust. They cost a little bit more, but if you're willing to put that investment in, it certainly is worth it. But
Mhm.
Google certainly has in their G Suite great packages that will get you started. It's
And,
a great place to get started and keep everything centralized.
and I would say something, Kenya. One of the things I find, and you guys can put in the chat if that's helpful, but sometimes that technology throws us off. And if we're going to be real and spill the tea, I
Yes.
know for me, I know the technology is important, but I have that fear because it seems like it can be cumbersome. But I do agree that the G Suite is a place that you can house everything. So for small businesses, if you have that, because when you start talking about CRM solution, that means you're scaling your business, and some of us may
Mhm.
not be there at the point. I love HubSpot, but I'm not there yet. But that G Suite would be great to
Yes.
combine C and A.
And
Yes.
Sonia, you were in
Yes.
your, this is why you were asking some.
Somebody, can you put yourself on mute because we hear you? Okay, go to the R.
Sure. So R is, I always call this my ready to get, I'm on the line to get start moving. So I'm going to start to remove and I'm going to recover. This is where I have my two buckets, right? I have my wins and I have my opportunities. So I'm going to take my wins and say, this is why I give myself the high five. Always celebrate your wins, ladies. Please celebrate your wins. Take a moment and give yourself a high
Yep. Yeah.
five.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that now. You're here.
Yes. So these are the things I know that are going to help me grow. These are the things that are getting me moving in the right direction. The things that are in my opportunities for that day, I have to start asking myself certain questions. Where is it worth it? How am I spending my time on this? Am I spending too much time on this? Then you can start to remove this waste. Just let it go. It's okay to let it go for right now because it's not getting me my high fives and my wins. You have to be able to say, this area, for instance, if I know that I'm working with this particular vendor and it ends up being a liability, I'm spending too much money, I'm spending too much time, it's okay to break that relationship. It's okay to end it. Let it go. And then I can focus now on my time. As you said, Tanya, I'm winning my time back because I'm not going to focus on these things. I'm going to focus on the things that really work. Therefore, I can recover my time. I can remove waste. And now I'm able to go ahead and execute my game plan because now I know what's working for me. This is something that you definitely want to do because your business will change. Everything will change on a daily basis. Inside of what I do when I'm doing process improvement, I always tell people what we're doing today, we probably won't do tomorrow because we're going to shift and move. Things will constantly change because we may think it works today, but tomorrow it ends up being waste. Let it go. So this is where you want to be able to take those opportunities and say, is it worth me investing? How am I going to grow this? How much time does it take for me to actually invest in this? And then you say, well, it's not worth it. Or if it is worth it, then you know exactly how to execute. So
Is
this
it
is
the
when I
same? Is it the same? Is it safe to say that the recover and remove area that you're talking about is the same as saying no? Simple
Yeah.
no. And the reason why I say that sometimes we know, when we don't say no, it is a liability. I know for me as a business owner, I oftentimes get people to ask me to do things that take up so much time. And then we have to ask, how does it align with our business? And we, some of us, coming from a speaker standpoint and a consultant and a coach and, all of that, sometimes we say yes, thinking that it's going to position us, but it becomes a liability. Is that correct?
That is correct. You hit it right there, nail on the head. You got it.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Well,
people they're always trying to talk us into doing things like, oh, you're going to get exposure. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. Just do this. And sometimes, in fact, your ROI, your return on your investment time, it is not even worth it because you really don't. You can
Yep.
take that time and do other things and get more of a return than
Yep.
chasing a rabbit hole, basically.
Yep.
So I totally agree.
and I think this care model is helping us be smart about how we make decisions and how
Yes.
we go about our day, because when we're starting our businesses, oftentimes we do want visibility. We do want people to know. We don't want to be the best kept secret, right? And we fall into this and some of this stuff, and that's why I like the R, recover and remove. And I made a decision for my business to eliminate anything and everybody that does not serve and align with my business.
There
Period.
you go.
All right, let's
it.
go to the E.
So your E is now where you can execute, and this is where you start evaluating. You want to, in a Kaizen type world where you're talking about change, you always wanted to ask yourself, how did I collaborate today? Or what were my wins yesterday? How did I get there? Because you want to be able to now say, I'm going to execute on these wins. I'm going to execute on, I've got some time back. So now I can focus on the things that are really helping me hit my goals. You also in this space, when you're looking at, my daily strategy, how I'm going to move today, you also want to talk about how I nurture the relationships, your relationships with yourself, your relationship with your business, relationship with your partners, because those are the things that are going to help you execute. Those are the steps that are going to help you be able to evaluate, how do I grow my business? How do I move inside of a pandemic? Am I prepared? Because now I know how I'm going to be able to move. This is your action steps. This is my game plan for today. This is, once I go through the C and the A and the R, when I'm now focused, now I know exactly what I'm going to do for that day, how I'm going to move, how I'm going to nurture the relationships within my wins and opportunities.
This is very important, the execution part. Sometimes we get all the way to learning everything and learning how to do different things, and we don't ever get to execute. And execute is going to be the game changer to scaling your business, and it goes right into sustain and success. So talk to us about the sustain and success piece of it.
Sure. Everybody wants to be able to get to the sustainability mode, right? And you have to think about, well, what does that really mean? So you want to be able to know, how can I increase on quality of what I'm focusing on each day? Because tomorrow I'm going to go through the same process, and now I want to improve and step my game up to the next level. You can say I can sustain it, but you never will get to success because you haven't improved your business, or you haven't hit that goal, because somewhere you kind of reverted back to doing old things. But you want to be able to say, how am I moving in my direction for success? Success is yours to define. And if you keep that mindset and at the forefront, you'll be able to sustain, but also you'll be able to achieve success over and over again. It won't be a one-hit wonder. It'll be something that you do every day. You'll be able to move every day in the right direction. This will hold you accountable on your strategic plan. Because like you said, Tanya, you can sometimes go down another path and get distracted, and you end up in a chaotic mode. And then you're going to sit here 5 years later and say, now, how did I get here?
Yeah.
What did I do? And then you want to now go and analyze everything. It's just way too much once you start to go into this monthly, quarterly. If you do it daily, you'll stay on track, and you'll be able to be successful and sustain your business and grow it in the right direction and with the right velocity.
So let me ask the participant, if you all can put it in the chat, out of the cares that she just went over strategy, which one you struggle with? That would be interesting to see which one, because I look at this CARE 5-step daily process as the back office of a business, the backbone of the business. So which one do you all struggle with? Put it in the chat so we can see, and then we'll be able to answer questions around it. Because, I think when you start emerging your business and growing, the biggest thing is, like I said before, is that back office process piece of it. And I like how you broke down the model that you use to show that we can implement these every day in our process. So if you will, put in the chat which area did somebody say execute and evaluate. I appreciate that. That is a hard one. I know when I first started, my business, I had all this everything up to the R. When the E came, I don't know what happened. The E just passed me by. And so I think when we want to do business, and we're going to hear from another speaker, they're going to want to know how we are executing. So anybody else have another, I see somebody said E for sure. That's a big one. Anybody else have anything other than the E?
Can I also share a perspective? Because as I was looking at the whole CARES model, it's almost like you can take the CARES model and incorporate that as part of your personal life too.
Oh yeah, that's what she said earlier.
You can take this whole mindset approach because, when we're doing business, sometimes all the personal stuff gets in our lives. So being to apply it to overall is really interesting. But mine would be too, execute and evaluate.
I think execute and evaluate, but when I first started, I think looking at your work, looking at your data was hard because oftentimes we don't know our numbers. We go to the bank, we want people to help us, but we don't know our numbers because we ain't collecting and compiling the data. And I struggled with that when I first started because I can remember going to the bank, and I'm going to be all transparent. I did not know what sales revenue versus net profit was. I just say, this is, and so when I went into the bank, I didn't know my numbers. I should have collected the data and understood the data. And if I can be real, I mean, that I had to learn, you have to know your numbers. That's why this process is very key to me. Anybody else want to open up their line and if they got a question or anything for Kenya in reference to this 5-step daily process?
Any sharing? Any business owners want to share something?
Let me see if anybody in here. So I think the E dominates.
I'll share with you guys. The recovery was hard for me because I didn't want to remove anything. It's hard to let go. You just say, no, I'm not going to do this. That's hard for me. That's always been something I always have to keep in the forefront. It's okay to say no, or it's okay to let it go. It's okay. So I think that's been the hardest part for me in this process on a daily basis. Knowing when.
Now, for Krita wanted to know, will we get a copy of this sent to our email? Sure, we can. You don't mind us sharing, do you, Kenya?
Oh, no. Okay. I do not. No, I do not.
And we can post it. We can post it online because that's easier for us to post our presentations online. Where we can post the CARES Act, like talk about it, having a discussion and post it. I could probably do it in an article format as well.
I also want to say that S, sustain and success could be challenging as well. And the reason why I say that, because things change, right? Things change. And so I can remember when I shouldn't say when I first came out, 2 years ago, a couple of years ago, I do a lot of training around generation and multi-generations in the workplace, do a lot of consulting. And when George Floyd hit on diversity, equity, and inclusion, I mean, I'm certified to do it, but I had to pivot my business because there was a lot of infighting going on in organizations around different generations. And I was able to really shift, like you had said, shift. But again, sustaining it, is challenging because there's regulations that change that may impact how you do the work as well. So we have to make sure that when we look at the CARE model, it impacts our business on so many different levels. Yes, you got to compile and collect. We definitely want to analyze, and then we need to recover and remove. My favorite word now is no. When I first started, I couldn't say no, right? And then executing, I'm trying to do a better job of executing, but sustaining it and the success is going to look different. So this CARE model really do work. Somebody said, I'm trying to increase saying no and not now. I love that, not now. And I think analyzing is important. I had somebody that asked me to be on some type of workshop or whatever, and it was going to take more of my time. And it was not even my audience. And so for the first time, I was able to say, you know what, I would love to do this here, but I only have 4 yeses throughout the year that I'm going to do. And other than that, I have to make sure it aligns, and this care models help me stay intact.
Awesome.
So let me just ask if you have any last minute thought for a business owner or a woman that's just growing or trying to figure it out. What would you say as far as a roadmap? What do they need to use?
There's one quote that sticks with me. It's do not be limited by what others expect of you, but confidently reach for the stars. And that's Shirley Ann Jackson. She is an amazing physicist. She helped create the caller ID and call waiting, right? So just to know that as a woman, whether you have a business or that you're in corporate America, just don't limit it by what others expect of you. Just always strive to do your very best each day. And it's okay if you make a mistake, forgive yourself and just keep pushing, because it's about progression, not perfection.
Oh, wow. I love
Oh,
that.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a great one. Thank you, Kenya. And now we're going to, Kenya talked to us about I look at this 5-step daily process as a back office to get you prepared to talk to people that want to partner with us. And we have someone in the room that's going to talk to us about how to truly, partner and leverage our business. Hold on one second. We got, go back, Marshall. We got Marshall Thornton, Vice President, Director of Supplier Diversity for Fifth Third. She's going to talk to us about, a lot of things that we don't know when it comes down to supplier diversity. So the first thing I want to do is, you can add to your introduction, but more importantly, we want to kick off, what is supplier diversity?
Yeah, that's the magic question, which I enjoy getting. So the way that I think of supplier diversity, so the bank spends, so I work at Fifth Third Bank. The bank spends about $1 billion a year to help it operate. And so from the furniture that we buy to the software technology that we use, to the landscaping, to the consulting, any HR consulting training, we spend about $1 billion. And from a supplier diversity perspective, my role is to ensure that at least 10% of that, which is 100 million, 10% is spent with 5 diverse categories: women-owned, minority-owned, LGBT-owned, individuals with disability-owned, and veteran. And so diverse suppliers make up those 5 categories. From a how we count the spend, it has to be certified or 51% owned by one of those 5. But my goal is to just get out there, particularly where Fifth Third is located within our footprint, introduce myself to suppliers if they are already doing business with some financial services. So the reality is it is really difficult to get in financial services. And sometimes when you see what we require from a regulatory perspective, you might say, not no, but heck no. But there are some that say yes, and they specialize in financial services. And so I'm looking to introduce them to the line of business leaders who are making procurement decisions, but also as a financial institution, if there is not an opportunity for us to partner on a supplier side, what I love is that there are many other opportunities. So we have other relationships that I'll talk about shortly. So you can't get a contract, if you will, with Fifth Third. There, you might be able to get some funding, some investment dollars, some free training, that type of thing.
So Marsha, you're right on spot on, because where the money resides, you said $1 billion. So we are all perked up and ready to hear how you say this. I love this term, help me help you. And so many of us, that has been our challenge, the money, getting the resources, but we want to, I don't know why it's doing its own thing.
Because we're virtual. That's what happens in a virtual environment, stuff just jumping all around.
Right. And so one of the things I want to say, what struck me, $1 billion, but the question is, how do we set ourselves? I know Kenya talked about how we set ourselves up from the back office standpoint to get to you. So
Sure.
now help us, you talked about what supplier diversity is and the 5 categories. And you said a word that I really like, $1 billion and 10% of that. So I'm perked up. So walk us through how we need to be prepared to get some of this here.
Yep. Well, and it really depends on if you have a product or service that a bank would procure. So one being knowledgeable, and NCR has a supplier diversity program, I'm sure, and many of the large suppliers. And so it's not always a one size fits all. There are oftentimes people will come to me and say, hey, I want to do business with Fifth Third. And I'd say, well, tell me about your business. And they will share something that is really for a healthcare industry, for example, or really for another industry, automotive, like they have some kind of widget that they help cars. And I'm thinking, you do know we're Fifth Third Bank, and so make widgets. So if the question is, can you help me with financing? That is another question. We can help with that. But if the question is, how can I become a supplier at Fifth Third? You got to just make sure that what it is that you're selling is something that a bank would procure. So this first piece where I put help me help you, there are times where I meet amazing suppliers. And of course, I have a heart for especially Black-owned and women-owned businesses. And I want to make introductions. But before I can do that, I have to make sure that there's some alignment.
Yes.
And I've heard terms like supplier diversity professionals are gatekeepers. And that cringe, one, because I've only been in supplier diversity for 2 years. And again, I really have a heart for this. I do know that not all opportunities will align. There might be some opportunities where the business owner will say, no, Fifth Third, you're asking for way too much, right? So that does exist. And I'm not saying that all the time the diverse supplier and Fifth Third will, I'm actually serving as a matchmaker, if you will.
Okay.
So when it's help me help you, it is knowing and understanding what we procure. And the best way to do that is, and I have that at the bottom, consultative selling and or doing appropriate research, which I know you all do. Some of the things that I've experienced where I did the research, I had a conversation, I said, okay, I'm ready to introduce you to the decision maker. And we either get on a call or we have a meeting and they do a one size fits all. They give me the canned presentation that they give anybody else. And I don't know about you, but anytime they have those dresses that say one size fits all, I'm like, no, it might fit some, it might fit most, but I can't say it's going to fit all. And if it does fit, it will look beautiful and amazing, not just hanging on me. So we want to make sure that we're tailoring our marketing and our communication to fit the needs of the company that you're talking with.
So let me ask a question. And you said a whole lot, and I'm glad you defined diversity. And we all have said they are gatekeepers. Yeah. And I love the fact that we need to know, you guys don't buy everything. There's some services that we need to know that is aligned with what you guys buy. But what I'm hearing from you is like we need to have our pitch deck together as opposed to a can, meaning that we need to understand what it is that you guys buy. And also we need to get away from that one size fit dress and put on the size 12 that really work for us, right?
12, yes. Yeah, and I would say that can deck is your starting point. So it's similar to and I would tell this if somebody was in the market and they have a resume, you got to have this is what I'm with. But when I learned that this position is open, I'm going to go and look at that job description, and then I'm going to go back to my resume and tweak, sure it aligns. So you have your canned presentation about your business. You're telling the story about how you came and your vision and where you see yourself and how you can solve the problem. And then you want to weave in very specific examples of how you might be able to solve a problem. There are oftentimes people rush me at conferences and it's really about, let me tell you about how great I am. This is so wonderful. And they go on and on and on and on. And I almost, sometimes I had this thought of, you do know I wear a size 10 shoe, and you are selling me a size 6. And even though that size 6 is beautiful, I mean, the shoe is bad, I cannot buy it. It does not fit me. So it's
Right.
a conversation of don't go and sell this size 6 to anyone, but just know your audience and make sure that when you're talking to financial services, you're talking about, either a product or service that we can procure, or you're talking with us about, hey, I got this business banking need, and I want to talk to a banker about how to grow my business. We absolutely have those conversations. It won't be with me, but I can make sure that somebody in Georgia, or if you're somewhere else, if you have a banking need, I can get somebody to talk with you.
Okay, so now you talked a lot about, like I said, help me help you. Did you, what about tier 1 and tier 2? How does that work?
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody on the call has heard of tier 1 and tier 2 before. It's really kind of a supplier diversity lingo, if you will. So tier 1 represents where Fifth Third writes a check directly to the diverse supplier.
Oh,
And tier 2 is where Fifth Third has a relationship with a non-diverse supplier. Maybe that's, we'll say Accenture, for example. And Fifth Third is not interested in moving away from the relationship with Accenture, but we can say to Accenture, because you have the tier 1 contract, we're going to put a goal in place and you must subcontract some of the business. And of that business, that becomes the tier 2. And so oftentimes people come to a Fifth Third and they want to be tier 1 because they think, oh, that's the most important. Well, at the end of the day, you're getting paid regardless, tier 1 or tier 2. And it might be easier to get in from a tier 2's perspective, right? Because you have the umbrella of that larger supplier who has a relationship with Fifth Third. You don't have to kind of navigate our procurement process. You get Accenture to do that on your behalf. And then you partner with Accenture for just a piece of that business. If you get multiple slices, right? If you get 8 slices of a pie, what do you got? You got a whole pie.
right.
And, that tier 2 is really important in the supplier diversity realm.
Okay, well, good. That was good. That was good information to know how help me help you really rolls out and how it impacts, small business and women businesses. So now when you think about this, many of us do have some type of relationship with our bank. Talk to us about how these relationships tie into supplier diversity.
Sure. And I can speak about Fifth Third,
Yes, that's fine.
Banks, right? But we call it a one bank approach. That's what we say internally. But really what that represents is so the fact that I'm talking with you is a demonstration of our one bank approach. Alita has a relationship with Antoinette. Alita is in Atlanta and she works in our community economic development department. She knows that this is a topic that I'm interested in. And so she made the connection and here I am today. I know that there's a business banker in Atlanta. And so if someone were to say, hey, I really want to talk with someone about, my business banking needs, I know how to get in touch and make that connection. And because it's coming from me, then it's easier than just a cold call, right? Then there is Alita, for example, may have opportunities that Fifth Third is sponsoring, maybe some kind of training in Atlanta or other things I may not know about directly, but then she can connect the suppliers or the business owners on this call with some funding. Fifth Third may say, hey, I'm going to do a scholarship and I'll let you go through this 6-week cohort, something like that. So this one bank approach is don't rest on, oh, I know Alita, so I'm good. No,
Right.
let's manage and navigate our net and grow our network and and do it at others. So one of the things I heard with COVID, when suppliers were getting the PPP loans, that them only had one relationship. And I heard our business banker say, you should have multiple banking relationships. Of course, Fifth Third bankers will say only have them all with Fifth Third, but I would encourage you to have multiple banking relationships if it makes sense for your business. So you can have a personal account with somebody, you can have a business account with Fifth Third, you can have another small mortgage account with somewhere else. And oftentimes when people are looking at supplier relationships, they are asking, hey, are they a customer? They're not saying, do they have all of their business with us? They're just saying, are you a customer? So if we could say, oh yeah, they got I don't care if it's $100,000 mortgage loan, that's significant. It could be a loan for your business that could be significant. It could be a credit card that could be significant, right? So you can have multiple relationships. It does require you to, manage more. And so your accountant may say, oh my goodness, why did you do that? And so it's not 5 or maybe 2 or 3, but just make sure you have good relationships.
So I want to ask a question, and you guys put any questions that you have that you want me to ask Marsha. So I want you to spill the tea since we're doing this business talk. And I hear what you're saying, well, help me help you. And some of us, we try to have these banking relationships and all of this, What are some of the things you are seeing that we as business owners, especially women, are missing when it's time to come to the table to have these relationships or even get access to capital?
Yeah, well, the access to capital, that is actually a business banker. So I won't speak on that because I don't misrepresent. I would say the ability to, it's probably on my next slide, but think of collaborative partnerships. Oftentimes I've seen where there's a solopreneur and it's their baby, and they don't consider what it might look like to approach a business owner as a collaborative partnership with somebody else.
Yeah.
So somebody might have the technology, somebody else might have the consulting aspect. And then if you compete in the RFP as one entity, then you come with a holistic solution versus the company having to, because, in the supply chain is really all about how can we got $1 billion. We want to spend that with as least amount of suppliers as possible.
Right.
So always like, how do we get in again? Just know from a buying perspective, they're trying to consolidate as much as they can, because again, it takes a whole lot to manage these relationships. And so if they're consolidating, then they want one point of contact versus 20.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. So we understand supplier diversity. We understand the tier 1, tier 2, and then the the relationship, And I agree that you need to have a team of people working for you. One of the things I think that we missed the mark, and you can help me on this, is that branding and marketing. We got to do a better job of that. Talk to me about what we need to do and what you've seen and how we can move forward when it comes down to branding and marketing.
Sure. And this is not, it's a great question, Tanya. I appreciate it. It's not specific to Black women business owners. I see this where the selling piece. So where I have branding and marketing, I have your pitch. So that's your elevator pitch. If you get 1 minute, how are you going to get somebody to say, here's my card, let's have a conversation? If they have an opportunity to go to your website, does it align with the 30 seconds, the 60 minutes of pitch that you share with them? If you get an opportunity, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and they look at your website and they remember the conversation, does all of that align? And are you leveraging storytelling to really invoke an emotion to get people to say, I really want to do more? So oftentimes people, if this website, they may tell me something, and again, I have a heart for it. So I'm really looking for it and I'm really listening. Others may not, because they don't have a heart, they're like, okay, I'm gonna just go to the website. But the website isn't compelling enough to make somebody say, I need to talk to this person. If the website does that and they get the sit down, then it's, the passion doesn't come through, that consultative selling. They go right to, buy from me, help me, help. Right. It's like, no, that's not how this works. And then the last piece is probably around perseverance and not being, just making sure that even no might really be not now, right? And so I don't care how many no's you get, If you believe in this business and you know that it's going to solve a problem or make a difference in this world, do not give up. I don't care if 4 or 5 companies tell you no, somebody's going to say yes. They may not, they may just be, or God may just be saying not now for this particular. So just keep on going. And one other relationship I want to mention is company foundations. And so again, even if you don't have a product or service that Fifth Third supplies or procures, Fifth Third has a foundation. Most companies have a foundation that is separate from the corporation. If you go and just Google the foundations in your area and figure out, do they have any scholarships or investment dollars? And again, if money comes from my area, usually there's going to be a request back. Like, okay, now you got to, do something for us. On the foundation side, they're just looking to a good organization to write a check and give the money away.
So now you just dropped some gems, the foundation. I don't think I ever heard the foundation. So the foundation is another opportunity that we need to seek as well. Do we do the foundation when we're not quite ready yet, or we need to still stay ready, do the foundation and also leverage the supplier diversity as well?
So usually the foundation, so the Fifth Third Foundation, they are not Fifth Third employees.
Okay.
They are, right, because it's the nonprofit arm of Fifth Third. And so in other companies, they'll have something similar setup. I would just try to figure out, are there foundation dollars out there? Usually they have like 3 or 4 areas that they are covering. And so it might be education, it could be sports, and whatever it could be. And just trying to align yourself, understanding which foundations have the categories that fit what you have to offer.
Okay, and that's great to know. So we can go out there and Google, or can we go to any PNC Bank and say, how do I find out more about the foundation? Like for me, I do training. I would love to be able to bring some training somewhere in PNC.
Yeah. Well, and I'm with Fifth Third, but
I mean Fifth Third, I'm sorry.
Sure. But so Fifth Third Foundation will just be giving you money. It will not be an opportunity for you to offer training.
Oh, okay.
Supplier diversity.
That's even better.
Yes, the foundation is really about, they have these dollars that they need to write off, right? And this the goodwill that they're doing in the community. And
okay.
So NCR probably has a foundation. All of the top companies in your area will have a foundation. Just doing some research and figuring out where there are dollars out there.
Okay. And so let me ask another question around branding and marketing. As a speaker, a professional speaker, I know that you should tell a story. Storytelling is very compelling. And I have learned through speaking and storytelling that it works for your business. Yep. Because oftentimes people want to know what's in it for them, and you got to tell that story. And we know it invokes a lot of emotions when you tell the right story, right? So people can be aligned to you. Do you find that is a game changer, being able to convey your story along with the pitch and the website and all of that?
Absolutely. And storytelling, because we actually have a corporate storyteller, and her job at Fifth Third, yes. Her job is to help us tell the Fifth Third story. So yes, we can be out in the community and doing these great things, but it is an art, like effective storytelling. Actually, I have a link and I'll share it because the corporate storyteller did a webinar for the Financial Services Roundtable. And I believe I'll be able to share it with you all. It's like an hour, and you can go, she kind of gives some tidbits on why storytelling is important and how you draw people in and all that. So I'll be able to share that. But absolutely, to me, it is a part of relationship building. It is. The root of relationship is connection, and that storytelling is a way to kind of build connection.
Okay. So somebody asked, could you spell the name of the organization? I think it's Fifth Third you're talking about, right? Was the storytelling? Fifth Third Bank.
Yeah. So yes, we have a corporate storyteller. The financial, I think they were asking financials, service, it's hard to talk and type at roundtable for supplier diversity.
So let me ask the participants here. Again, we are here to provide you guys some solutions, some things that we may not know about. I'm learning a lot of different things today. What are some of the areas that you want to know more about when it comes down to supplier diversity, relationship or branding and pitching? Marsha's here to help us. She's definitely dropped some gems about storytelling, because I know for a long time, I couldn't understand why storytelling was so important. But as a speaker, I went to a storytelling boot camp. And you can apply this in your life, you can apply this in your business. And so when I get on the stage and I start talking, it's all about storytelling. And that's how I get most of my business. And I'll talk about that a little bit. But anybody have any questions? I mean, this is your time to ask questions. You put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, because we have a limited amount of people, and so we can handle them, the question. Anybody have questions or anything for Marsha? Can Marsha share procurement areas for Fifth Bank? That's what somebody wanted to know. Can you share that? Thank you.
Sure. So I was gonna type in, here's a storytelling link. So I think what the question is, what does Fifth Third procure, right? So IT, we have it in kind of multiple buckets, but some of the larger areas would be in the IT space, and that can be IT hardware. So where we buy the phones and the computers, IT software could be the cybersecurity software to ensure that everybody's account is safe. IT labor, so we hire a lot of contingent labor, and IT professional services. So oftentimes that is a specific project that is needed to either implement some software, change some software, and that type of thing. So that's kind of the IT space. Then there's marketing. There's media buying. There might be some creative services that are used. There are a lot of, we do a lot in-house. So that's the other question that we want to find out is, hey, I might be coming with a consulting solution, but does the company already have a full team? I've had somebody try to pitch and someone said, if I go with this solution, I'd have to get rid of 12 people because that's what my team does. And so if the company is not in the position or not interested in outsourcing, then it's not that this company, this doesn't make sense. It's just, this doesn't fit our model.
Okay.
So IT, marketing, construction, facilities, landscaping. If you just go to the bank, you think about the perimeter and inside painting. Let's see. Yeah. So
and that's good to know. I mean, it's really good to know. And I think you hit that hard to let us know what they are looking for. So let me ask a question. Somebody asked a question. What certification do you recognize, Fifth Third recognize from suppliers? Because that's a big thing, WeBank, or is it women-owned small business? What are the ones you guys recognize the most?
It's really any that from a third party certifying agency. You can produce either a certificate or a letter. Okay. So we don't do self-certified right now.
So, okay, and that's fine. So is there a website for supplier diversity? I know there's a minority, business supplier diversity government site. Do you guys have one?
And let me answer that too, because I get that question all the time. And we recommend, even in our training, that when you're researching to do business with a company, for example, like a Fifth Third Bank, or if you're researching with Accenture, if there is a supply diversity program, that information is going to be on that company's website.
Okay.
So for NCR, supply diversity, Fifth Third Bank, supply diversity. So make sure that when you're doing your research, just go to that website and research everything there is about that company, because their supply diversity statements and initiatives are going to be on their website. So it's no per se website saying supply diversity. There is overall overarching information, but again, whoever you want to do business with, do the research with that particular company, because they would tell you what certifications they recognize. They would tell you about their programs. They would tell you if you need to register. Everything's right there. Just do your research.
Yep.
So
And
Go
real
ahead.
quick, I am actually, we're updating our portal. So what you see out there come the beginning of January, we're refreshing all of that data. So there is information out there. Our registration portal, we just transitioned to another company. It won't have the new one up until January. And so, but that is right on point, Antoinette, on our website.
Yeah, thank you. So Kenya, thank you for putting Andy as far as the master storytelling. That's the one I took his class. So it was awesome to be able to learn a little bit about storytelling. And so one of the things I want to make sure I think I answered all the questions in the chat. Let me see if there's another one. They work with Connex. I think you guys know, you don't?
Well, Connexus was our portal prior to, actually, we just like this week stopped that contract. Our new contract will start in January.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good. I mean, I think we are learning a lot about, supplier diversity, what it is, the relationship. I love the branding and marketing aspect of it. So I want to ask Marsha, if you had, I know a quote, we talked about quote, what quote would you leave for us to take with us as we navigate this world of business? I think I have your quote on here.
Did I give you a quote? Let me keep. Yeah. So that's
watch me.
Yeah. So this one is, this was really the pandemic recovery. And this has been the hardest 18 months of my life. And I think everybody on this phone could probably say that the hardest. I've been exhausted, frustrated, confused, pissed off, like all of these emotions, but I made it and I'm making it. And so the only thing I wanted to leave was, I'm bigger than this. I'm not my struggles. I will survive this and overcome it. I will keep moving forward. Nothing will keep me down. I am a survivor. I will rebuild myself stronger than before. Just watch me. And
so I love it.
You all need to watch each other, and we will overcome this. I know it's been like, oh my goodness gracious. And trust me, in corporate, daily is a struggle. But there are situations like this that keep me going, knowing that I'm doing good work, fulfilling my purpose, right? Knowing that I have an opportunity to impact the lives of diverse suppliers in our community keeps me going every day. And so I just want to encourage you all to keep going.
I love watch me, because I always say this. I try to echo I got two boys, 25 and 22. And I think it came from 2 Chainz. You don't believe me, just watch. And so I love that, because it's what we tell ourselves. Just like you said, it has been a trying 2 years. And I want to speak just a little bit time. I'll give you guys time to ask questions too, but I do want to speak and encourage you that some of us had to reset our businesses. Some of us had, sometimes you don't know how the next day is going to be. But I do believe, and I want to say this here, you can't do life alone. You certainly cannot do business alone. And so I want to encourage you to look at ways that you can collaborate. And I think we talked about it earlier, might possibly having a program or a workshop or something on how to partnership. But I will tell you my story, just like Antoinette said, when I first started, and it wasn't long ago, I was working full time and I would come on my lunch break to some of the classes. And Antoinette will tell you, I would do an early lunch break to meet the class, because one of my goals, I believe in income buckets, income circles, right? And that's what I coach my clients on, income circles, right? And one of my circles was government contracting. I knew I worked for the government, but I knew it was a $1 billion industry and I didn't know how to navigate it. So I went to WEOP and learned this while I was working. And of course, I got organized and learned how to, navigate those different websites and all that. But I realized early on, and sometimes we have to realize that, I think it goes back to the care model. We have to say no to some things. I realized that I did not want to be a prime at that time. You got to be clear about what it is that you want to do, because it takes a lot of work. So I said to myself that I really want to be a subcontractor and still run my business and give me the opportunity. So that's one of my income buckets. And I say this to say sometimes it's challenging because you get a lot of no's. I can remember going to all these different, when we pre-COVID, these different conferences and meeting people that talked about matchmaking and supplier diversity, but I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was. I just thought I would show up. So everything that Marsha talked about, I was all wrong. It was not a good fit, but I didn't know why the door was continuing to slam. And another thing too, building relationship. Sometimes we have to know the right bank to do business with. Everybody is not for you, and you got to interview that bank just like you interviewing anybody else. And you got to make sure, how are you going to help me? We got to ask those questions. And so I had to learn that. And then you got to know your number. You got to get that data, look at that data and know your numbers. I had all my numbers backwards. I'm being honest. I did not know what, sales revenue. I had them all backwards, but you got to know your number and understand your numbers. And I think when you begin to understand that, the things that the ladies talked about today, the care system, which is your back office piece of it, it really helps. It's almost like the engine in the car. Once you oil that care, it's the engine in the car. And then what Marsha said, you understand that you have to go and establish relationship. You got to get a full understanding of who's buying what. You got to know your marketing strategy. And those are the kind of things that's going to help see attrition. So I had to learn some of this here because I've seen the door close and I was like, okay, what is going on? I remember when I first came out, I said, I did not come out here for some gas money. I need to make some money where the money resides, but I had to change my mindset. And so many of you you're trying and you're resetting, you're trying to move forward, but these are some of the things that I think that we had to put in our toolbox. And I will say that I believe that you can't do business alone. Some of us may have to partner. Some of us have to, contract. Some have to hire. Many of you may be saying, I can't afford to hire. But you can still scale your business by partnership and working with people from a consultant standpoint. And so I really want to encourage you all. And I want to say this before I open up the lines, is that done is better than perfect. Let's get it done. And let's get it done and let's utilize the resources that we have in front of us, because oftentimes we don't have these authentic conversation in safe places, because I'm like Jay-Z, you can't heal what you don't reveal. We got to reveal where we're at. And once we determine where we're at, we can move forward. And I'm a living witness. And y'all know I'm transparent. I had to reveal some things. I ain't know my numbers, but now I'm healed. So I see a little bit of attrition. So I want to encourage you all today. So I want to open up because we got some time to talk. Talk to us. This is your time. We don't want to talk at you. What are some of the things that you all are, need some help with? Somebody say, I respect that transparency. Yes, we have to.
I would like to say something.
Sure.
Thank you, ladies, for all being here. I mean, I'm sitting here listening about what you're saying, and it resonates with me because they're not doing business alone. It's really hard for me to open up to people and kind of make new connections. It's just like, I don't know, it might be my PTSD, but I'm working on fixing that. It's still hard. I think I'm good one day, but I'm not, I can sustain it to a point. Like, we can talk and we chill and it's really great. We have great conversation about business and about life. But come the second conversation, I'm like, oh, it's too much. I don't feel like dealing with you right now. So I don't know if anybody has any tips on how to get around that, but that's been my issue when building relationships.
Well, I tell you, let me just give you, and I appreciate that, Marshall. I think that we have to have the mindset that I understand what you're saying. You meet with people, have this one meeting, and after that, you just don't want to deal with it. I think you probably need to go through a vetting process, because I think it's important to do business with like-minded people. So maybe these people that you have these one meetings with and you're like, this is not a good vibe. And then you have that radar to say that to go forward with it. Is that what I'm hearing? A radar that say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this here.
I think more than the radar is me getting on my own way. It's me not having the ability to open up and let people in.
Okay, so, you know, I can tell you this is a documentary for me. I'm just joking, but I've had that issue before. And quickly, let me say this quick story. I was taught and told that women were the enemy. So my mother, she shielded all the daughters. So we didn't never have a lot of friends, girlfriends. And so we went in life just not having friends. And that went over into the business. Who can you trust? Can you trust another person, another woman or whatever? And I had to really, you know, pray about that. But I also had to make myself be aware that everybody is not against you, right? I had to change my mindset. Everybody is not against you. Of course, I do have my radar and my checklist, you know, and that's how I had to retrain myself, because I was taught to do it by myself and it was not getting me anywhere. So I would encourage you to put some negotiables and some non-negotiables when you are meeting with people. Does anybody else have any ideas that you can share with her as well?
And I do want to share that sometimes things are not a good fit, and we do have to
Right.
listen to our intuition when it comes to that. But sometimes if you do that vetting process, because you're not going to be able to do business with everybody, they're not going to have the same ethics. So sometimes when you do feel that intuition come in, but sometimes you know when it's right. It's like you can
Right.
have a conversation, it just feels right. So I would say you do have to follow your intuition, you do have to vet, and you do have to kind of leave your mind open, but there are times where you do need to walk away.
Yes. Yes.
That's
you do.
real. And you might have to run across, you may run through 10 people and finally at the 11th one, it might be it. So
Right.
that's just something that you're going to have to do as well, because we can all work together, but we can find
That's
people that is just a cohesive fit.
I like
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Anyone else have any questions, feedback, observation, questions that we may not have asked about your business? How you guys doing? Is it Michaela?
Marquila.
Marquila.
Hey, Marquila.
Hey, so actually, to Maria's point, because I totally feel your pain. For 6 years, I ran a salon suite business where I had to manage 22 plus different personalities.
Ugh.
It's
Oh.
not easy, especially if they don't have the same mindset or that entrepreneurial mindset. They're not accountable. We need to incorporate therapy into our budget. So I just want to put that out there, like, therapy is important. We don't think about that, especially Black women. We think, oh, I'm strong, I got it, I'm good. But no, we definitely need to incorporate some therapy or some mental wellness into our lifestyle.
I like that.
I'd like to make an announcement too, because part of our 2022 we just came in contact with the world-class therapist, and she wants to do some programming for women entrepreneurs. So she's actually coming into WEOP and is going to do a series of workshops where we incorporate the mental health into being an entrepreneur, because we know with the last year of this pandemic, it has been a challenge for everybody. So, and there's an association, mental wellness and having a successful business. If you have all these mental things going on, these barriers, challenges, your confidence, it's going to impact whatever you do in your career or your business.
It really, yeah, it will.
Can I also add to this?
Yes.
And
Yes,
I actually learned this from Lita, another WEOP member. Disability insurance. We know that that's an expense. It's not the most competitive, thing that we often feel like we can afford. But when we think about disability, we think about if we lose break a leg or we're physically disabled. No, it also compensates any financial losses. If you're suffering depression, we're human, we go through it. So that's something to think about too.
I like that.
that's great.
That's really good. I think we have to, it's so much information out here. There's so much we want to do. There's so much opportunity, but we have to make sure we take care of self first. We got to take care of self, because oftentimes we are told to do this, and that. And I think it's about, I can see how this care model plays out in the personal aspect of it. I really can see how it plays out. So I do think we got a bonus here with the CARES model being for personal and business, but also understanding who we do business with, such as what Marsha talked about, and how we need to approach it is even important as well too. Any other last minute closing remarks? We're getting close to our time. We got a little bit more time. Anybody have any other observation, questions? Was this helpful? Anything that we can talk about? Again, we want this to be a safe place where you feel like you can get some information to really grow your business, move your business to the next level.
Yeah, I had to, during this time, make sure that I save time for people that I love and people that were important to me. So oftentimes people say, you know, your me time, and I was getting that. But I also was letting Fifth Third, because again, very passionate about this work. I'll be up in there 12 hours, working. And then when I get home, I'm so tired. Be like, girl, what's wrong with you? And you know, if I'm not intentional, that's constant. I'm just a tired woman all the time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get these locks done. I'm going to put on some lipstick, and I'm not going to be today. I'm not going to give Fifth Third 100% of me today, because my husband deserves some and my children deserve some of it.
Absolutely.
For anybody that needed to hear that, I don't know, but just work is what we do, is not who we are. And we got to be clear about, okay, is this the part, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Or is there something else I'm supposed to be doing? And sometimes what we're supposed to be doing is just sitting on the couch with our loved ones and getting our feet rubbed, or whatever that might look like. So,
and that's real talk. That is, I think we have to find ways to rejuvenate. I did, and we got to do something different. Last week, in the middle of the week, I was DE&I, which is diversity, equity, inclusion. I do a lot of work around that. I was burned out. My head was on fire. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna spend some time with my sister. So we went out on Wednesday night, had a dinner, and I felt rejuvenated. So get those small wins when you can. It's up to us to say, no, we the author of our life and our business. And so when we start doing that, we start seeing things come together. Somebody said, work is what we do, not who we are, right? Anyone else? Antoinette, you had any last closing remarks? I thought this was really good. I hope that we can take some tools and use them, such as a care, and also what Marsha talked about. I love the pitching piece of it. The self-care is definitely important as well. But as women of color and women in general that's running businesses, it's not easy, you know, and so we need to find ways that we can employ some of this so we can leverage. And also, my last thing is, I know I'm going to say this, and some of you may disagree, but I always say, yeah, money is important, but it can't buy you time. And guess what? We want to make sure we err on impact, because if we err on impact, the money will come. And I'm sticking to that.
And I would like to say that let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep connecting. Let's keep talking to each other. Let's keep supporting one another. On November 27th is Small Business Saturday. Let's buy small, because I make it a point, we're coming into the holidays, so I make it a point of buying books or clothes or anything affordable that I can buy from other women. So I would say, let's keep everything going. And I thank all the ladies who shared their email addresses. A few people talked about their businesses. One lady said she had an inherpeacebeauty.com business. Also the virtualconnectionmagazine.com. If you notice in the chat box, we had a few ladies sharing their websites and information. So I want to thank them for sharing. Also, IT business, cyber security. And I was writing down some of the websites, so I too can go and see what they're doing, because I think it's so nice when we can go on these websites and look at what some of the other businesses are doing that are on the call. She can put her phone number. Thank you, Maria. So in closing, thank you to our great facilitator moderator. Thank you to Marsha, Fifth Third Bank. Thank you to Kenya from NCR, who is now a new WeUp board member. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to all the WeUp members and all the participants on the call. And we're going to be winding down for the holidays, but 2022, we're going to come back really strong with our mental health perspective, our mentor protege program, our new primetime cohort. So we're looking forward to it. So stay connected with WeUp by making sure that you subscribe to our monthly newsletter, because we're always doing something. So in closing, I just want to say thank you again, and everybody have a great rest of the year. If I don't hear from you, do my emails in there. You know how to reach out to We Out. And thank you, Latasha. She's joined us this year. She's our technical director. So I'm saying that we're getting ready to sign up, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, and let's go win.